but the first couple of chapters are about the obstacles to joy. So if I asked you right now, what do you think some of the obstacles to joy are? What would you say?
Bad health.
Pardon?
Bad health.
Good.
Fear.
Oh, not necessarily,
No, and it's not.
because
me,
joy
but
is an inside job. Joy is the presence of God. Expressing. But fear about health could be an obstacle. Anger or resistance about health would be an obstacle. Resistance of any sort. In other words, I don't like what is and I don't want it that way. I want something else. That's resistance. Any kind of resistance is an obstacle to joy. Can you agree?
Mhm.
It just gets in the way in the moment of me feeling joy. So that's going to be the 8 weeks that begin October 17th. So I wanted to, thank you so much for bringing it up. I wanted to encourage all of you to get in a small group. I'm doing one at 10:30 on Wednesdays, our class time. Let's see, Jim and Levon Rasmussen are doing one at 5 o'clock on Wednesdays for those who would prefer a later date time. Billy is doing one on Thursdays. Is it at 1, Kat? At 1. And Sandy is doing one. When is Sandy's?
Tuesday at, I think she's 1 o'clock also.
So Sandy Fish is doing one on Tuesday at 1.
Yeah.
So I encourage you, I exhort you to sign up for one. And if, and the idea is to stick with one because that's where the relationships get deep. Or
Good, that was a good explanation, because a lot of us were wondering.
I'm not surprised.
And I think these type of things are really good, because for me now, church is community. It's not necessarily dogma or rules or whatever, and I think working together. Now, my other question is, that sounds like a great book. Are we expected to read the book, or have you done that for us?
I'm not doing it for you, but I'll help you. So the question for you guys online that Betty asked is, for this program and the small groups, are you required to get the book and read it? And the answer is no, no, no. My intention, I mean, if you want to get the book and read it, that would be great. It can't be ordered of you. And I mean, it would probably broaden the experience for you, but not necessary. Because my desire is that people get in a small group and get to know one another and get to explore their beliefs and hopefully, get some inspiration and insight. Jane?
I just want to make a comment about some confusion between the 10th of October and the 17th of October. Somebody asked me to do something and pretty soon it was supposed to be on the 10th, and then they said, no, that's not right, it's the 17th. Well, now it's the 10th again. So when does it really start? You said the 17th, so I wondered if the groups were different than what's happening on the 10th.
It is for some people.
Just trying to be helpful.
One's a Sunday, those dates are Sundays. And the groups are gonna be during the week, so.
No, what she said it all
The
starts.
10th, it begins the program. And I'm glad you asked because I was remiss in not including the prayer team, the prayer vigil team. So we're having a prayer vigil on Sunday, the 10th, after service from 12:30 to 3:30. And Renee Falkowski is the team leader for that, and she's been asking people to sign up for it. So if you take half-hour shift, that's your commitment for the prayer vigil. What are we praying for? We're praying for the maximum involvement and deepening spiritually of the community. We're praying for that at the prayer vigil, that this be a transformational experience for the community and the individuals in the community.
So then when it was in the bulletin one time, it said the 17th, so I changed it on my calendar.
Oh, I
and-
changed my dates. Yeah, there's the confusion.
All right, okay.
Yeah, right, Kat? We got it in the newsletter too quick. So it officially starts, well, officially begins with the prayer vigil.
And that's all
On
by
the
itself, and the groups are different and they have different dates.
Small groups meet during the week and discuss questions that I pose on a study guide. That you'll get in writing. It's a booklet like this. And the prayer vigil is a group of people who have volunteered, signed up to sit in the sanctuary for a half hour and pray that everyone in our spiritual community here be transformed during the next 8 weeks. Spiritually transformed such that they find lasting happiness, which is the theme of the 8 weeks. That they find the joy in themselves and that it expands to transform their lives. So,
Yes, those books serve any purpose to becoming a new member. The books that you're talking about there, are they about becoming a member of Unity?
these are,
Oh,
these I'm
okay.
giving to anyone. This is not anything to do
okay.
with adventure and faith, but
I didn't want to take one if it wasn't on the subject.
yeah, it says membership at Unity Spiritual Center. And so Kathy brought these in for anyone who is becoming a member, because that's what this class is for, as well as for anyone who just wants to consider spiritual ideas and talk about them.
I just wanted to make sure that before I pick it, I'll take one when I leave.
I'm counting on you joining me. I'll come after you, so you might as well just. Okay, anyone out there want to ask any questions before we launch in here to this content? Anyone have a question? Okay. I don't see any hands up. Yeah, Jojo.
Have you ever heard of the Dalai Lama's cat?
Cat?
The cat talks in the book, wrote the book, and it's all about Dalai Lama's wonderful thoughts and the way the cat reacts to it. It's
Oh.
really fun.
No, I haven't heard
Anybody
of it.
ever know? No?
What's the name of the book?
The Dalai Lama's cat.
The Dalai Lama's cat.
It's wonderful.
Oh. He's, the Dalai Lama, well, both of them, Desmond Tutu as well, has an incredible sense of humor. And they're really good friends. And the Dalai Lama has a great sense of humor. And that's one of the topics during the 8 weeks, humor. I saw him when I lived in San Francisco. A friend of mine and I went over to University of California, Berkeley, where he spoke. And when he finally came out, he's got the orange and crimson robes, and someone helped him up the 3 or 4 stairs to the stage. And he's got a translator walking along with him and standing at the mic with him. And he starts speaking in Chinese, his native language. And the thousands of people sitting in the audience were looking at each other like, oh no, we didn't know that he was going to be speaking. And then he laughs, he just starts laughing, and he says, ha ha, fooled you. Great sense of humor.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? No. Here we go. Welcome to you online. Let's pray in, y'all. Oh, well, so God, we just give thanks for this time together and the insights and spiritual revelations, for the joy of being together, discussing spiritual ideas, for the blessings for everyone here. We give thanks. We claim all of these blessings right here, right now, for everyone here. We claim them, we release this prayer now into the allness, knowing that it is returning to each one in its fullness. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Great. So I'm gonna start with the people online. Are you alive, awake, alert, and enthusiastic? Okay, we're on the cusp of October. And October is the month of zeal. Zeal, or a passion for something, including life. So get your zeal on, get your zeal on. So starting with you all online, your name and something that brings you joy. Just keep it simple, not a paragraph or more, just 2 words. A sentence would be great. Something that brings you joy along with your name. Let's start with my crack admin.
I'm Kathy, and this is Cleo, who's wearing her joy color. So
Who's got the zeal on?
she's got her zeal on, and her blue ball brings her a lot of joy.
It
And
does.
what brings me joy?
Thank you. Hey, Cass, can you come in and turn this up a little bit? It's hard to hear you.
Yeah. Oh, Max coming in. So what brings me
Maya?
joy? Cleo brings me joy.
Cleo brings you joy, no kidding. Okay. Cass, do you know how to turn this up? Maya?
Max doing it. She's on her way
Okay,
in.
good. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Diane, and Halloween brings me joy and magic. It may be the Zeal month, but for me, this is the Halloween month. And of course, my new grandson.
Of course, your new grandson.
He should go first for Halloween, but you know, I love Halloween.
Thank you. Maya?
My name's Maya, and nature brings me joy.
Thank you. Eileen and Judy?
This is Eileen, and I love Halloween as well. So I'm right there with you, Diane.
Thank you. Judy?
What brings me joy today was a nice visit that I had from my son yesterday and his wife.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And Alva? Unmute, Alva. What brings you-
I take my little dog Loki.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Okay, let's go this way.
What are we doing?
What brings you joy? Your name and what brings you joy? Very short.
What do I enjoy?
What brings you joy?
Okay, that's why she's here, she can help me, because I'm crazy. Okay, my name is Joe Thompson, and, what else am I?
What brings you joy?
Oh, what brings me joy? Fishing,
Fishing.
my cat, my dog that was my partner. I used to have a dog and she went away to my partner. So, those are my beautiful things, and wildlife,
Thank you,
even coyote.
thank you.
Hi, Joe. Sunshine brings me joy. Whenever the
Yes.
sun shines, I'm happy.
Amen. Thank you.
Chris, and
Speak loud and clear so folks online.
I'm
can
Chris. Today it's a day off, but really what I was thinking, what really brings me joy then is working so that I enjoy a day off.
hear. Great.
What brings me joy, I guess, is getting up and having something to do in friendships and having a good health day.
Great, great, thank you. And your name is? Joy.
What can I say? I can't find my card. It's a mess.
My name is Carol, and what brings me joy is a friend of mine's dog.
Oh, okay.
He brings her over, she just runs in circles and she throws herself on the floor. And she just goes crazy when she sees me, so it's kind of fun. It makes me.
It is. I can talk to Linda about that.
My name is Betty. And sitting out on my patio and watching the bunny rabbits and watching the mama and papa quail come parading through with their heads.
Yes, very
Brings me
cute.
joy.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Linda, and some of the things that bring me joy are cooler temperatures, and especially this morning, the opportunity to visit with Cleo.
See what I mean, Carol? Cleo is my dog.
Oh.
Next.
My name is Jane and flowers bring me joy.
Yes.
My name is Barb and I love gardening.
Yay. And Barbara is also on our library team. I'm gonna do a plug for the library, okay?
Okay.
Because Barbara and Carol and Sharon and Cecilia have worked really hard to put this library in order. And we're gonna maybe do some reconfiguring here, but this is a vast library of metaphysical and self-help books. And all that's asked of you is if you want to take and read one of them for 3 weeks, there's a sign out sheet or booklet right there in the corner. We ask that you put your name there. We've had a number of books disappear, and we don't want that to happen anymore because we can't track them down now. So I just encourage you to browse this because there's some really great spiritual books in here, including most every Unity book ever printed. Okay, that's that. Now I am going to start moving through this. Well, let's try. There we go. So the 5 laws of spiritual dynamics, or the fundamental basic teachings of unity, are, this is what we started with. What's number 1?
On that list.
What's the first one of the 5 basic? Say that again?
One presence, one God, God the
One
good.
presence, one power. We say it every Sunday morning. It's the foundational statement in unity. This is where we begin. Out of this belief, the others flower. So there's only one presence and one power, and that is God. Does anyone know the 3 or 4 omnis of God? God is omnipresent. There's no place where God is not. Omniscient. God is intelligence itself and wisdom.
Omnipotent.
Omnipotence. God is all powerful. There we go. That is the God that unity teaches and believes in and acts from. The second basic belief is what? God dwells
We're
within.
individualized expressions of one source.
Okay, Joe said it, and who said it on here? Was it you, Maya?
Yeah, we are individualized expressions of one source.
Yes, we are individual. Thank you, Joe. We are individualized expressions of that one source. So that has all kinds of implications. Can you get that? If we are expressions of the one source, what does that tell you?
That everybody is an individualized expression of that one source. So even the
Yes.
people who I don't like are individualized expressions of that one source.
Yes, there's the trick. And what else does it tell you? As you think about what we just said God is, and we haven't covered all of it. I wonder if I should go there.
We have that divine spark in us.
Yes, but
Christ consciousness.
what does that tell you? What is the implication of that relative who you are and what we say God is, Joe?
Even if a person is a bad person, they still have the spark within them. They can use it if they so desire.
Yes. So Joe said everyone, and Kathy said this too, that everyone has a divine spark, no matter how they're behaving or what they're saying. And our great spiritual task in life is to connect with that divine spark within, rather than the misbehavior. Okay. Here's the implication that I want to make. That because we are individualized expressions of the one God, let me ask you this. Because you are the daughter of your mother and father, what have you inherited?
Their genes.
Their genes. What does that tell you because you're an individualized expression of the one power and presence?
We have, this is what I would like to come and talk with you someday about. I've been in classes when they said that means that you are God. And I can't quite accept that. I know that I am God's hands on this planet, and I express love that God wants to express to all the people on this planet. But we were drawing the comparison to the ocean. I said, I feel like I'm a drop in the ocean. And this person was saying, no, that you are the ocean. I said, well, an ocean can hold up an ocean liner. I can't hold up an ocean liner.
But if you're with God, you can. If you're in
By
the
myself?
ocean, you're part of it. If you are a drop in the ocean, if you are a wave in the ocean, you are a part of holding up.
Yes, a part. This person.
Not the soul, not the soul. In other words, we're not, I mean, God is the great mystery. We try to put some boundaries around God based on our experience and, what our intelligences can discern. But we can never know the whole mystery, not walking this earth anyway.
We also put the boundaries on ourselves.
Say it again?
We put the boundaries on ourselves.
Yes.
We are limited by our perception or our ability to believe that we cannot hold the ocean. It's all up here.
That's our only remedy, what's up here. Or what's in here. So back to the drop in the ocean. In scripture, there's a line, and I'm sorry, I can't tell you right now exactly where it is, but where Jesus says, ye are gods. In other words, I'm not my mother or my father. I'm not them, but I am. You know what I'm saying? I came from them. And so my genes reflect them, who I am today. Blue eyes, blonde hair, natural blonde hair.
Well, yes, I agree. We have the attributes of God, right?
We can access.
Right.
We can access
and
the nature of God.
Right.
And here's how. What's the third basic principle?
Co-create with God.
We're co-creators with God. Or thoughts held in mind, what?
Produce after kind.
Produce after their kind. A thought that I hold in my mind makes babies. Just like itself. And so the key is held in mind. There are lots of ways to explain how it all works. And one of them is If I hold a thought in my mind, it's going to replicate itself unless I take it off that track. And the key is what I choose, the key is my awareness of the thought I'm holding in my mind. And then my capacity to choose something else.
And I totally agree with all that. And that's what my blog this week is going to be about, what you're holding in your mind. Well, I could tell you the story, but we have a lot of things to talk about. But manifesting, for instance, I mean, that's what my whole blog is about. And I know that it's through a power that is greater. I call it a power greater than me that is working in me, through me, for me.
It works through us, exactly.
Yeah.
Even seeks to work through us. Anybody online want to comment? We've been doing some yakking in here. Anyone online want to comment about anything so far? Okay, so the third basic principle has to do with thoughts, and it's the creative law. So at our best, we are to be co-creating with God, what God is. Goodness, love, generosity, abundance. The fourth basic principle for me are the tools of transformation, which are
Prayer and meditation.
prayer and meditation, exactly. Prayer and meditation.
And tonight's meditation night.
Tonight is meditation night. Kathy's reminding me. 6 o'clock to 7:30 meditation practice. So prayer and meditation are what you'll read in 5 Basic Principles by Ellen Debenport. However, when I was studying, the 4th basic principle had 4 components. Prayer and meditation, they belong together, and denial and affirmation belong together. So denial is our no-saying power. It's our capacity to say, to erase from our consciousness what does not serve us any longer. It's simply letting it go, releasing it. I won't give it one more nanosecond of my attention. And affirmation is what I want to say yes to. So if I've got a thought that is not bringing me joy, for example, given that we're talking about joy, if I'm having a thought that is not bringing me joy, because I'm a co-creator, I have the power to change that thought instantly. The instant I notice it, I let it go. That's denial. I let it go. I refuse to give it one more nanosecond of my attention. But I have to shift my focus or it comes back. Have you noticed that?
Well, I have a question. Aren't those negative thoughts, ego telling you what's going to make you feel bad? So you can do that and feel bad.
Yes, and I think some of those thoughts too fool us into thinking it's going to make us happy.
Right. Yeah.
Make us happy, or at least keep us safe.
I think that is the ego that's working, to drive you towards the negative. But I had this brainstorm on Sunday, and I finally got it, and that's what I got. Was ego is what's telling you this isn't right.
Ego is telling you
that something wasn't right.
that
And I was able to put it out of my mind and say no.
So, I mean, are you saying that ego is a good instructor?
Well, it could be. I guess you could look at it that way. And because you have to examine, whatever it's telling you, I think you have to examine it and then make your own choice.
Exactly. So our egos can be enlightened or not enlightened, right?
I don't see that part as being the ego. I see that the ego is more, it's more selfish, more, I get up, in the morning and it's like it's time to do housework. And the ego says, no, let's do that tomorrow. And you start following that, and then you never get the house clean.
Right.
So you can't give in to that. If you have that voice in your head that's saying, man, don't do housework today, or don't cook today, or, do whatever, then it's your choice to say, no, I'm gonna do it today. Just
Thanks,
do it.
Carol. Let me try to repeat what you said for our folks online who probably can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. So y'all online, Carol was bringing up a term called ego, which is a way of describing an aspect of our consciousness. Would you say that's true? Yes, an aspect of our consciousness. And she was giving an example of how the ego can give us unhelpful information or suggestions. And that's true. So there are frameworks in unity that are psycho-spiritual, psychology integrated with spirituality. And one of those frameworks, let me see if I can get there for you. Getting way ahead. Okay, so one of the frameworks is phases of consciousness. There's superconscious, which is the realm of divine ideas. And divine idea is, I like to think of the 12 powers. That's the easiest way for me to think of what is a divine idea. A divine idea is something that expresses the nature of God. So love is a divine idea. Wisdom, right action, is a divine idea. And so superconscious, this is just a way of trying to understand, So superconscious is the realm of divine ideas. Consciousness or conscious is our awareness of our thoughts, our now moment awarenesses, which may not be complete, which may include false judgment, right? Or good judgment. But it's this now moment here. And subconscious is the vast storehouse in our consciousness of our experiences, our reaction or response to our experiences, our opinions, others' opinions that we bought into, and who knows what else we've let in there. And how do we know what's in there? We know what's in there by what comes to our conscious mind. If I catch myself judging, you can bet that it's come from my subconscious mind, probably some experience I've had or opinion or. Okay, so that's one. The ego is another one. There's ego and superego, right? And the id, that framework is superego, which is the realm of divine ideas, the wise one. The ego, which is something like my awareness, which may include erroneous ideas, but not necessarily. They're not all bad. Although sometimes ego gets a really bad rap. But without our ego, we would be hard to function. And the id, all of our drives. So frameworks. Here's another framework to explain how our mind works. So we all have intuition, right? And it's the channel through which ideas come out of the blue sometimes. It's the way we receive divine ideas through our intuition, which is hence meditation. And then sensing is, what I can perceive with all my senses. And thinking, of course, my thoughts and feeling my emotions. That's a way of describing how our mind works, functions of consciousness. So Carol, you made that happen, right? It's you.
I did what?
You made it.
Carol talking about the ego motivated me to go through this with y'all. But let me go back and put a bow on the 5 basic teachings, which is the most important for this beginning class. And that is 1 presence and 1 power. What's the second one again? Second basic principle?
We are God, God is in us.
Individualized.
The divine spark. God is in us. We are in God. Okay. And the 3rd basic teaching is the creative law, which is
Thoughts.
Thoughts.
Thoughts. in
Thoughts.
mind Produce after kind.
thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. That's the creative law. We can't create anything without a thought, can we? Think about it. This came from a thought. This came from a thought. You know what I'm saying? So thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. So if we want to create something and manifest something, we have to align all of our thoughts with the object, with what we want to manifest. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. We didn't quite get to the, let me do 4. 4, the 4th basic teaching is the 4 tools of transformation, which are
Prayer, meditation, denial, affirmation.
bravo, bravo. Okay, and the 5th basic teaching is
Action.
action. As James says in the Bible, faith without works is dead. Faith, and I like to make a distinction between blind faith and tested faith. Blind faith is perhaps I'll believe because someone else said I should. Or I'll believe because someone else believes. Tested faith is I've been through the fire and now I get it, I understand. Or tested faith is I'm afraid, I was afraid, but I did it anyway. That's tested faith. Tested faith is when, we meet a challenge and we overcome it. Then our faith has been tested, because the opposite of faith is
Fear.
fear. Right. The opposite of faith is fear. So I either am acting from fear or faith. Take your pick. One or the other. There ain't nothing in the middle. Okay. Take some deep breaths. Any comments or questions so far? Did you all have your coffee?
I have a comment.
Okay, thank you.
When we were talking about the denial and affirmation, it just reminded me of something that happened to me recently. I was reading something and came across Marquis de Sade, and I thought, I've always heard about him, but I don't know anything about him. So I just look up on Wikipedia to see, I don't know when he lived, I don't know anything. So I started to read it and I thought, oh, this is so gross. I needed to get him out of my mind. So I stayed in Wikipedia and went and read about Thomas Merton, just to get my mind on something that was uplifting instead of downtrodden.
Exactly. Great example of shifting your focus, thinking, not letting those kinds of thoughts stay in your mind. Great. Any other comments on the first 5?
On the one about the thoughts. I had a piece of paper that had a nice meditation on it, and my friend asked me who was the author. I said, I don't remember, and I don't even remember who gave me this piece of paper, but I'll try to find out. And I was busy and didn't bother with it that day. The next day I was busy and I was going out to my car in the garage and there was a tray of old CDs out there. So I grabbed one, jumped into the car, stuck it into the player, and I'm backing out of the driveway. And the artist starts singing, and the words were those words on that meditation.
No way, don't you love it?
And so that's my blog for this week, because I wrote that we came upon those words not by any physical act on my part. The only thing that was acting was my thought that I needed to find those words. To me, that's a clear expression of what we're talking about. And sometimes it's so hard to even, people say, well, that was a coincidence. Yeah, but that CD was 15 years old, sitting out in the garage. And the first song that it played were the words to that song. That's too many coincidences to be.
I like to call that divine synchronicity.
Yes, yeah, I use that word in my book.
Synchronicity, I love that word. And the more we advance spiritually, the more, I swear to you, the more we'll see synchronicity in our lives. We'll notice it, not like it hasn't happened before, but we'll notice it.
And I think a lot of people have these experiences too. We just don't know how to put words to it. And the other thing you were talking about is the good thoughts and the bad thoughts. That's in there too. I swear, lots of times on Sunday, she's saying the same things that I'm thinking. So we must be tuned into the same channel.
There is only one. Any other comments on the first 5 of the teachings? All right. Okay, so we talked about the concept of God, right? Any comments or questions there, you guys online? Yeah, Diane.
Before we go to this, I just have to put a plug in for ego.
Please do.
Because I have run into too many clients and people in New Thought and just various places that I believe get caught up, like the lady that was mentioning being tired and how to transform that thought. Ego, being that manifestation of being human, can teach us so much. It's back to that feeling of not only embracing the fear, but embracing the bad thoughts, embracing all of it. Because if we don't, before we move on into transforming it, and by the way, I think EFT is a great way to transform it, because EFT, when they do that process, uses, when they start with it, even though I'm feeling dismal and unworthy, and then they move into the different way to reframe things. So we don't want to have a bunch of repressed thoughts going on. And we don't want to hate our egos. We just want to, I like to think of it as a blackboard. And when I get those negative thoughts, that I look at them for a little bit, break them down a little bit, and then erase them and, make a new statement.
Thank you.
I just love the ego is what I'm saying.
Oh, I know.
We've all got one.
So
and it's different than the super ego, these conceited, and it's different than the id. It's just the self, basically,
Self, small self.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's, yeah.
So that brings up 2 other things for me. One is the idea of acceptance, which is what you were talking to, Diane, when you said we have to accept it all, because what you resist persists. So we just notice the negative thought. Oh, hi, thank you for sharing. Toodaloo. Not laying a negative energy on it. Just noticing it's there to teach us, not the reverse. It's there to teach us. So one of our Unity ministers, Gary Simmons, wrote a book that's really helpful regarding that concept called, I think his mantra is no one and nothing is against me. If we think someone or something is against us, what's our first reaction?
Anger and fear.
We make it wrong. We make the person or it wrong. And that's what resistance is. And that's what holding a thought in your mind is about. For reproduce after its kind, pretty soon we've got a whole negative scenario going on. So the whole idea of no one and nothing is against me is I'm either teachable or I'm not right now. Am I teachable? Can I look at this and use it for my own growth? Is it asking me to practice forgiveness, for example? Is it asking me to practice acceptance? Is it asking me to practice generosity, kindness? Acceptance. I think I've given you guys this one. I'm in a 12-step program, been on for a very long time. And one of the basic things for all of us in that program, because it relates to denial of what is an addiction, for example. Here it is. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I'm upset is because I find some person, place, thing, some situation unacceptable to me. And I can find no peace until I accept that person, place, or thing as being exactly the way it's supposed to be. Nothing, absolutely nothing in God's world had to be by mistake. Until I could accept my addiction, I could find no serenity. I need to focus not so much about what needs to be changed in someone else as what needs to be changed in me. Can you see that?
Absolutely. Is that word for word out of your big book or something?
It's out of, it's taken from the big book, yeah. Page 446.
Okay. I have a relative who is in such bad shape because he thinks everybody is against him. Everything's wrong. And I've just been listening to him for months and months. But last night I finally had to speak up and I said, Charlie, he was in the hospital for something. He complained that he didn't have any water, that the nurses were talking about their vacations. I said, did you say thank you to anybody? He says, well, no, the doctor went home, didn't even see me, had to come back late. And that's all he has. And I don't want to be preaching to him, but I think I'm going to get him the big book.
Wouldn't hurt, probably. So you guys online, Betty was talking about having a friend who complains about everything rather than looking at what he can be grateful for. Do you see the shift in focus?
Absolutely.
I can focus on no one's bringing me water to drink and I want it. Or I can focus on, oh God, what a beautiful day it is. And that lunch was pretty
Oh my
good
God,
today.
I paid bills.
Okay, any other comments about, we I don't know, we got on a train going somewhere else. Any comments about the concept of God? Anyone not clear about that? Okay, then let's go to our relationship with God. Anyone not clear about that? Feel free. Okay, unity. What we say about unity is, and if you were here when Reverend Shad Groverland spoke, you heard him talking about you go to one church, unity church, and another, and you're not sure you're in the same denomination because you don't necessarily hear the same kind of thing. But the point being, if someone asks any one of you or me or you online, what is unity? What do you guys believe? 5 basic teachings are a good place to start. And the brand, here's the brand. Unity is a positive path for spiritual growth. Unity is a positive path. When someone asks me, I say unity is positive, practical, progressive spirituality. Because we are practical. We have tools. And we say we're spiritual more than religious, only in the sense that religion has gotten a bad rap. Hasn't it? Often it's, it's dogma, and you have to believe this or you're wrong. If you look up the definition of religion, you'll see it's to bind back. The whole point of religion is to bind us back to our Creator. But we say we're spiritual in the sense that we don't have dogma. You don't have to believe this to be a member of this congregation or come to any class or anything we're doing, right? You don't have to believe it. We call this a path, a spiritual path. Here's the spiritual path we're walking. If you want to join us, great.
You call it a path. When I'm talking to people that ask me about that, I say that unity is if they have a faith already that they're not happy with. I say unity is a bridge to where you are to a more spiritual, open relationship with God. But I think it's a bridge for those people that are leaving the churches and they don't know where to go. I think unity is the answer.
I do too. Anybody online have any comments or questions about that? How to talk about unity and say what it is? Diane?
Well, it's a question because a lot of people have asked me, what is this thing you're doing now, Diane? And I say, unity teaches that God is love. Is that okay to respond that way?
Absolutely.
I think that so many of my people that are anti-religious, and I know a lot of people in the scientific community, they are anti-religious because of the dogma and because of, the heaven and hell stuff. So I've just shortened it to that it teaches. Do you think that's okay?
I do, for sure. Because that's what we say, right? God is love.
Yeah.
In action. We express the nature of God when we are acting lovingly or thinking love. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have something.
Yeah, Ella.
I'm gonna myself what I feel it is I often use my experience in Vietnam because I think in a war you learn a lot of things that you don't really do when you grow up. You grow up in a one-way mind. I was raised as a Southern Baptist and very strongly, this was it. Like I said, the dogma, the da. And when I was in Vietnam, and one time we were in the field in the jungle. Well, if you know the history of it, the French were there for about 150 years. And here was this old abandoned Catholic church, partly blowed down from fighting and war. And we set up near it. And one morning, it was Sunday, well, our chaplain goes over there and he says, okay, any men here are Catholic, I'm going to hold service. And he said, well, do the other service. And I watched and they went over there. He reaches in his bag and he pulls out a, what do you call sash? They put around their neck, a different color. And they did the Catholic ritual. When he was done, he said, the Protestants, he took out another sash of a different, and then the Jewish. And he put his Hanukkah and his, and it was at that time I realized and learned something that yes, this was an old church. It was a Catholic church, of course, the French, but it wasn't about the religion that we are all. It was just, we just pray a little different, but we're this one chaplain, because you can't carry a dozen chaplains with you in the field, probably Catholic, maybe Protestant, but he did all, none was different. And I learned something from growing up Southern Baptist. We was pretty much, well, you got to believe this way, that, and it opened my mind as to, hey, no, here we are all. It's just a little, maybe some of the language is different. Some maybe Latin, a little bit of Hebrew, but it's still, we're all the same thing. And I think that's where I learned the spiritual is what my point was, rather than that physical or the religious part, or, so that's all.
Thanks, Al, that's a great example, great story,
Yeah.
thank you. So, positive, progressive, practical, metaphysical as well as historical. This is the way we look at the Bible. So we say, yes, it's a history. Yes, it's an allegory. It's metaphorical and it's metaphysical. And so I've looked at it this way, or this was something that helped me regarding putting it all together. And that is, metaphysical is what beyond the senses, right? Meta is beyond. So what's beyond the physical? And so we look at what's beyond the literal meaning of the words in the Bible and the historical accuracy of the Bible. We look beyond that to what is the metaphysical, what is the message here? What does this mean to me? What can I make it mean to me? And so in Unity, we talk about, and we have the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. Let me see if I can find one here in the library. And the revealing word. No, I see lots of Bibles. Metaphysical Bible. I know we have it in the bookstore. I'm not seeing it right here.
We looked it up and we couldn't find it either. Kathy
You
and
couldn't
I-
find one in here?
No,
That's so odd.
I know. I donated one.
Somebody probably checked it out and didn't return it.
Nobody signed up for it.
No. So anyway, the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary was put together by Unity, but we're not the only ones that look beyond the physical in the Bible. We look at what do the people represent. And so we have the 12 powers and we've connected them with the 12 disciples, right? So Matthew is will. James is wisdom. And somehow the meaning of the name connected with a way for spirit to express. So the names mean something, the places mean something beyond just naming a city, for example. The numbers mean something. So 7 is the number of physical creation, we say. And 12 is the number of spiritual completion, 12 disciples, spiritual completion. 4 is the number of enough, it's enough. So another really great help is the revealing word, which I'm sure we have in here somewhere too. No, we can't, we have the revealing word. I'm looking for it, but I don't have my glasses on. Oh, here it is.
And
Okay.
Sharon, what is the revealing word?
It's like our dictionary of terms. So if I open to ego, the ego is mankind, and by reason of his divinity, he makes and remakes as he wills. In this lie his greatest strength and his greatest weaknesses. The ego of itself is possessed of nothing. It is a mere ignorant child of innocence, floating around in the mind of being, but through the door of its consciousness must pass into all the treasures of God. There's a spiritual ego, the true self, spiritualized ego, true self, an individualized center of God consciousness. So, a dictionary of terms. So metaphysically, we interpret the Bible. We look for what's the significance to me to this human life. Any comments or questions there? Okay. It made all the difference in the world because raised Catholic, We got the gospel and the epistle every Sunday morning at mass. And I thought, just get to communion.
Diane has a comment.
Diane,
Thank you there. I'm just wondering, what were you reading from? Because I'd like to know more about the numbers and the words, and also how unity relates to astrology and other metaphysical kind of. So what book do I want to get?
I don't know if I would say just one, but I was reading from the, let me just take a peek, Diane. I was reading from the Revealing Word.
But you were talking about numbers.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely fascinated by numbers and mystical terms and the whole mythology stuff. So it's good to know that it's good to know that Unity translates all of that from the Bible.
Hang on.
Because I don't read the Bible. I'm not a Bible girl.
I'd like to mention, if you have Kindle, I have it on my iPhone, and I was able to download the Metaphysical Bible for free into Kindle. I just Googled on it, I think. I've had it for so long, I can't remember. But I found it as a PDF and then just downloaded it to Kindle. It's not as user-friendly probably, but I can search on any term in there and it'll take me to it.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks.
Yeah, the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and then I was reading from the Revealing Word, and I just went to look to see if I could find a number in there in our approach. It might be in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, not sure. We also have a Bible dictionary. It's a very thick volume with terms from the Bible and definitions.
Okay, thank you.
Diane, what Kathy said, you know, with your Kindle or your phone, you can also just download a sample if you want to check it out first before you buy it. Because maybe you want the paper version of it or you want the electronic version, whichever, you know, you like. But I usually download a sample and then I can see whether it's something I really want. And then I can go from there.
Thanks, Eileen. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Diane. Anything else on what we've covered so far? Because I do want to get to membership. So heaven, I named these things distinctions. What makes unity different, perhaps in some ways? So it's one of them is our view of heaven. So what do we say about heaven?
Within.
Heaven is within. Heaven is now or it's never. Heaven is a now moment experience. Heaven isn't up there because there is no up there. Right? If there is no up there, is there? Right. We're a planet spinning in a universe and there is no up there. It's all around, all around. And heaven is, energetically speaking, because I don't want to get into this too much, but you know, we talk about the field, the quantum field of all possibility. Okay, and where's hell then? I mean, what is hell?
You make your own hell.
You make your own hell. How many of you have ever visited hell?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't like it there.
No. Why did I keep going back then?
Just to make sure it's still the same. And what about sin?
Error thinking.
Error thinking. So sin is sort of normalized. In other words, as human beings, we can have mistaken perceptions of reality. And those mistaken perceptions can get us a lot of unhappiness.
Reverend Sue?
Yes, Ellen.
My brother, he's pretty, you know, is religious. He called sin? I don't understand. Have you ever heard the term messing the mark?
Yes,
Okay, that's what he said. Well, sin is called messing the mark. That's what he, I don't
missing the
know.
mark. Yeah. A bullseye would be love. Missing it would be judgment, blame, even guilt. I had a professor, one of my instructors when I was studying to be a licensed teacher in Unity, just shifted. I did a 180 when he said this. Guilt is useless, unnecessary suffering. Can you see that? So staying in guilt keeps us stuck. Got to get out of stuck and into right action. So for example, if I've hurt somebody, I can feel guilty about it, or I can go say, I'm sorry. Evil. Evil is the absence of the awareness of God. That's one way we look at it. Or it is any attempt or ignorance of a divine idea. Any attempt to distort a divine idea is one of the ways we define evil. We've talked about divine ideas. Give me some divine ideas.
Any of the 12 powers.
Any of the 12 powers. Give me a divine idea.
Love.
Love.
That's always good.
What is an example? What is an example of a distortion of love? How about
Jealousy.
jealousy? How about envy? How about false judgment, of course? How about withholding? I don't like you, so I'm not going to love you. So evil is an attempt to distort a divine idea or ignorance of it, or I've done a lot of ignorant things in my life. Now that I know better, I'm responsible. We're responsible for what we know. You knew that, right? That's the good news and the bad news. Okay. Any other comments before I go on? Paradox, we talked about the paradox of spirit. So God is transcendent and immanent, right? God is everywhere present and also inside. We talk about Father, Mother, God. You'll hear me say that sometimes on Sundays. That's only, a better term would be the creative principle of masculinity and the creative principle of femininity. How do we know that God is both plus more that we probably don't even know about? Because we have men and women who are here. So God must be both, right? We say God is personal and impersonal. God is the law. We can't break spiritual law. We can only break ourselves against it. However, God is very personal. We can access the goodness of God through prayer and meditation. God can be very personal to us. I came reflecting one day, I noticed and found myself saying, God is my best friend. That's very personal. However you find God personal to you, it's experiencing God in a way in your life that makes it personal. And God is also law, always operating. The law of gravity never changes. Neither does spiritual law. It never changes. It always is what it is. Okay, any comments there? Okay, going past that. How many of you know when Unity was founded? So let me just give you some history. Roots and fruits, I call it. So the root is we're rooted in ancient wisdom that experienced a renaissance in the mid to late 1800s with the transcendental movement, where we were coming out of the Puritan era, right? And it's always this evolution of consciousness is always a very gradual progression. And so we're coming out of that into another age of enlightenment, another age, not like the only enforced, but another age of enlightenment where philosophers, psychologists, psychiatrists began to realize the power of thought. That thought creates our reality. And so if you read Emerson or Thoreau, who were part of that, the AA program arose out of the Oxford movement, which was a part of that renaissance in thinking and finding tools of transformation, like forgiveness, like making amends when we've done something not in alignment with divine ideas. So we grew out of that. Our founders are Charles and Rev Fillmore, who were raised in mainline Protestant faiths and had what became spiritual seekers when Myrtle was diagnosed with tuberculosis, terminal. It was terminal then. And she had 3 kids. And so she and her husband, Charles, just began this spiritual search. And she heard the idea that your thoughts can change your experience. So she devoted herself, began to devote herself on a daily committed program of prayer and meditation, in which she spoke to the cells and atoms in her being about how appreciative she was of all of them and how sorry she was that she didn't take better care of them. And I don't know what all else, but as the history goes, she spent hours on this. An incredible discipline. She was healed. And Charles, who had a withered leg, thought she was onto something. So he began to practice as an experiment. He called it an experiment, like tested faith. Called it an experiment. I'm going to really get into the same thing my wife is in, prayer and meditation and affirmative thinking, and see what happens. And what happened, as the story goes, is that little by little, his leg was restored, the withered leg, so that, he wore elevator shoes, one shoe, I don't know if it was the left leg or the right, I think left, until he was well into adulthood and into this way of thinking. And little by little, the elevator shoes got shorter and shorter till at the end of his life, it said he was no longer wearing an elevator shoe. And he devoted himself to this. So, so they began to lecture. He began to, and she was writing letters, and they began prayer groups. That's how we started as a prayer group, a small group of people praying for one another and with one another. And then if people were helped so much that he started lecturing all over the country, and then lecturing with hundreds of people turned into, well, let's build a center so we can study these principles more. And gradually we became churches. So now there are something like 1,000 worldwide. I'm talking too much. I'm gonna stop right now when you're falling asleep. So, but here, I'm hoping that some of you who aren't members and who have been faithfulness class will join the church. This is an explanation of our beliefs, a lot of what we've been talking about here. And the back page is a membership application to fill out. You can give it to Kathy. Our new member ceremony is, when is it, Kath? It's November what? November 14th? Sunday, November 14th. We'll have the new member celebration. Okay. Anybody online have any questions or comments? Diane?
Another question. Does Unity have some healing circles? I have a couple little things I'd like to manifest away. And I know you can ask them to pray for you in Kansas City at the Unity Tower, but do they ever do healing circles, energy circles, so to speak, or, you know, drum up some energy or something of that
Well,
nature?
Unity sure does, and we have a healing team here. They don't meet together right now, but we submit names to them of people who have asked for healing energy.
They meet on Zoom every other Tuesday on Zoom. They meet, and so if you have any energy healing needs, you can let me know and I'll pass it along, and they'll send out energy healing. But we have some really powerful healers on that team.
Okay, but nothing where everybody gets together for it to raise energy and to heal themselves in the universe kind of thing.
That's a good suggestion. Will you write that one down for me, Kat? And I'll talk to Sandra about it.
Because I really think we all kind of need healing. I know I'm not the only one, but I hate to be the focus of all the healers, you know, but and I'd also like to raise the energy in the world, you know, and I think that happens in a circle. So
Yeah. Kathy's gonna write it down. I'll explore it, and let's get back together on that one, Diane. Okay. Anything else? Okay.
Wait a
Have
minute.
I said it?
What are the benefits of being a member?
Oh, right. So here are what I would say are the benefits. There is some kind of grace that happens when one crosses the line into membership, because you're making, if you think about it, you're making some kind of a heart connection, right? You're making a spiritual, you're putting your whole self in. And you're not on the fringes. You know, you're putting your whole self into this as a spiritual path, and there's a grace about it that accelerates your spiritual experience in life. Then, as a member, you get to vote on who's on the board and any decisions we make, any significant financial decisions we make, or property decisions we make. Members vote on that. We cannot, I cannot, the board cannot make a decision about our property, for example, to sell any part of it without the consent of the majority of the membership. So you get to vote on such things. You get to become a board member if you're a member. Well, did I leave anything out, Kat? Benefits. Board member, vote on things. Hey, Mackie.
Prayer chaplain?
Hi, Sharon.
Oh, yeah, you get, this is an important thing. As a member, you get a call from one of our prayer chaplains every month. Yeah, that's a really big one.
And if anybody online isn't a member and wants to be one, I can send you the booklet. So just let me know.
Great. What are the possibilities? The possibilities are endless. I said the board, I said voting, and the other thing is the grace that comes from putting your whole self in to something. I can never I can never improve my tennis game if I'm not out on the tennis court, you know what I'm saying? Okay, I think that's it. Is that it, Kat? Yeah. So when you're a member, this is your spiritual home. We invite you to participate fully, as noted here. Support the ministry with your time, talents, and treasures. Fill out a membership app here, which the board approves, and then November 14th. Yay, okay. Any final comments? Let's pray out. So God, we just give thanks for this time, knowing that you grace everyone here throughout this day for having invested themselves here. We give thanks that in the days ahead, we find enlightened ideas, we find more experiences of your presence and power in our lives. And so we go into the rest of this day with a sense of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy. Thank you, God. Amen?
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank
And the
you.
crowd said amen. Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
With all the things going on, thank you for all the things that you do.